Hi there, and welcome to Science Sleep, where quiet curiosity meets peaceful rest. Tonight, we drift far beyond the warmth of the inner worlds, past the red deserts, past the swirling giants, until we arrive at a place suspended between silence and starlight. A world shaped not by storms, but by rings, endless, shimmering rings. Saturn, the celestial jewel of our solar system, a pale golden globe wrapped in delicate bands of ice, stretching thousands of kilometers in every direction, yet thin as a whisper, light as frozen dust drifting through space. Out here, there is no thunder, no violent winds, no restless storms to disturb the quiet. Only the soft echo of colliding ice particles, a gentle, shimmering chorus that circles the planet in slow, eternal motion. Tonight, we don't descend into Saturn's deep, hidden clouds. Instead, we float within its rings, a silent ocean of frozen light. Tiny shards of ice glint like stars, drifting and humming in soft, crystalline waves. Each particle moves with ancient calm, guided by Saturn's graceful pull, turning the space around us into a vast halo of peace. Here, there is no up or down, no ground beneath your feet, only drifting arcs of pale blue ice stretching endlessly around a golden world. Every ripple in the ring travels like a quiet breath. Every faint collision rings out like a distant chime. The entire structure moves in a rhythm older than Earth, soothing and slow, as if the universe itself were exhaling. So breathe gently. Let the soft echo of Saturn's icy rings guide each inhale. And each exhale, let's scan to see. Let the drifting crystals quiet your thoughts. Let the calm of this frozen, celestial sea carry you into deep, peaceful rest. Welcome to Saturn Ring Ambience, a tranquil voyage through echoing ice and pale golden light, and an invitation into deep, effortless sleep. Saturn, a pale golden world suspended in the far reaches of our solar system. A planet wrapped in a halo of ice and silence. A place where distance softens everything, including time itself. In this quiet journey, we drift gently towards Saturn's rings, a shimmering structure of frozen light, a system of arcs and bands that stretch for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, yet remain thin enough to disappear when viewed edge-on from afar. These rings appear solid from a distance, smooth, perfect, like a single ribbon carved around the planet. But up close, their true nature reveals itself. They are made of countless particles, fragments of water ice, minerals, frozen dust, ranging from the size of grains of sand to mountains several kilometers wide. Each particle drifts freely, held in its path by Saturn's gravity, orbiting in a constant, gentle dance, a celestial rhythm that has continued for millions of years. Tonight, we drift inside this quiet ocean of crystals. We move slowly, effortlessly, following the natural curvature of the rings, letting the frozen echoes guide us deeper into calm. As we approach, the light around us changes. The sun is far from this part of the solar system. Its rays are faint, soft, but when they strike the icy particles, they scatter into delicate halos of pale blue and white. The entire ring becomes a field of drifting, glowing mist, a place where light moves differently, gently, as though unsure whether to linger or fade. The silence is immense, so wide, so deep, it presses softly against your senses, not as weight, but as comfort. Out here, sound travels only through collisions of ice, tiny, soft impacts, barely audible, like distant chimes echoing through a frozen atmosphere that doesn't exist. These faint noises create a subtle, calming texture, a natural white noise shaped by the physics of orbiting ice. A sound so ancient and gentle that your thoughts begin to slow. Your breath deepens. Your body softens into the quiet. As you float among the icy fragments, you begin to sense the structure of the rings. They are not a single band. They are not even simple arcs. They are layered, fine, intricate, thousands of threads, each with its own density and motion. The A-ring, bright and wide. Its particles move quickly, swirling with smooth consistency. The outer edge glows faintly, catching sunlight like frost. The B-ring, heavier, denser, almost opaque. Here, the particles cluster closer together. This region reflects sunlight strongly, creating a pale curtain of ice that stretches toward the planet. The C-ring, much thinner, darker, more ghost-like. Its particles shimmer only when the angle of light is just right. A faint whisper of frozen dust, drifting with silent elegance. Between the A and B rings lies the Cassini division, a vast gap carved by gravitational influence from the moon Mimas. From here, the divide appears like a shadow traced across the light. But it is not empty. It contains its own population of icy fragments, sparse, quiet, moving gently through Saturn's gravitational tides. These details are not overwhelming. They do not disturb your rest. They simply float past your awareness. Soft, measured, slow, like gentle facts carried on a cool, cosmic breeze. As we drift closer, you begin to notice the motion of individual particles. Some tumble slowly. Some glide without rotation. Some spin like tiny frozen planets. Each one follows its own orbit, obeying the same physics that guide the moons, the same physics that shape galaxies, the same physics that guide your breath in and out. Calm, steady, unhurried. Saturn's rings are surprisingly young. Most estimates suggest they formed only about 100 million years ago. A recent event on cosmic timescales. Perhaps the remnants of a shattered moon. Perhaps material left over from captured comets. Perhaps fragments pulled apart by Saturn's tidal forces. Whatever their origin, they now create one of the most peaceful structures in the solar system. As you glide deeper into this icy halo, the colors soften again. Saturn's pale gold reflects faintly off the surfaces of drifting ice. Warm light meets cold crystal, creating a harmony of hues: frosty blues, muted ambers, soft whites, drifting like powdered snow suspended in slow motion. There is no hurry here, no turbulence, no storm to outrun, only orbit, only gentle rotation, only the endless curve of ice following the geometry of gravity. Saturn's gravity field stretches far into space. It shapes the rings, shapes the orbits, shapes the paths of moons, small and large. But the pull is not harsh. It is subtle, smooth, gradual, a gravitational hum that keeps the particles drifting in harmony. A hum you can almost feel, like a soft vibration in the quiet of your mind. As you breathe, imagine your inhale drifting upward, light, weightless, floating among the icy fragments, and your exhale falling gently back into stillness. Slow, soft, sinking deeper into rest. Far below, Saturn itself rotates quickly, once every 10 hours. Its upper atmosphere forms bands of cream, gold, and pale gray. But from here, the planet feels distant, quiet. Its storms are far below. Its winds, though powerful, cannot reach the rings. Up here, there is only peace, only the faint glow of reflected sunlight, only the soft, crystalline echoes of drifting ice. Some of the larger particles cast tiny shadows. These shadows slide across the ring plane like fading brushstrokes. They stretch long and thin when the sun is low. They shorten into brief flickers of darkness as the angle shifts. The shadows move slowly, almost imperceptibly, reassuring in their patience. A reminder that nothing in Saturn's realm is rushed. Around you, faint gravitational interactions cause ripples. These ripples travel through the rings like waves on a silent ocean. Slow, regular, steady. The waves are not sound. They are motion. Density variations drifting through the icy particles. Each wave creates a gentle shifting pattern. A pulse. A slow, rhythmic movement that pairs naturally with your breathing. You inhale. A wave rises. You exhale. A wave falls. These ring waves are created by Saturn's moons. Small shepherd moons orbiting near the ring edges. Their gravity tugs at the particles, guides them, keeps the ring structure sharp and defined. Moons like Pan, which sweeps through the Encke gap with delicate precision, and Daphnis, creating vertical waves that rise and fall, like shimmering dunes made of ice. Even the faintest tug creates order. Even the smallest imbalance becomes a pattern. A slow, cosmic lullaby, shaped by mathematics older than Earth. As you float here, your mind begins to mirror the environment. Thoughts drift like ice particles, light, unattached, easily carried by gentle motion. There is nothing to hold, nothing to chase, nothing to resist. This is the essence of Saturn's rings. Not chaos, not noise, but calm, shaped by gravity. Harmony shaped by distance. Silence shaped by light. Let your breath follow this simplicity. Inhale like ice rising into sunlight. Exhale like shadows drifting across frozen arcs. Slow, steady, weightless. As the ring particles continue their ancient orbit, their faint collisions create a soft background murmur, a whispering sound that resembles falling snow touching a still surface. These echoes are gentle, barely present, but they help your mind settle. They give your thoughts something light to rest upon, something steady, something soothing. You begin to sense a deep rhythm flowing through the rings. Not a rhythm of sound, but a rhythm of motion. A cosmic slow dance unfolding over millions of years. This rhythm calms you. It enters your breath, your heartbeat, your awareness. The quiet becomes part of you, and you become part of the quiet. Take one more slow inhale. Let Saturn's frozen halo cradle your thoughts. Let the pale light loosen your body. Let the gentle orbits lull your mind. This is the beginning of your journey. A journey through the drifting, echoing ice of Saturn's rings. A journey into deep, peaceful rest. As you continue drifting through Saturn's rings, a gentle stillness wraps around you. Soft, steady, endless. The kind of stillness that exists only in the far reaches of space, where distance and silence join together to create a sanctuary of calm. The icy particles nearby reflect faint sunlight in all directions. Each shard glimmers with a cold, delicate sheen. Some appear almost transparent. Some glow in pale blues and silvers. Some scatter light into tiny rainbows that fade before your eyes fully recognize them. These colors shift slowly as you move. Not because the particles change, but because your vantage changes. Perspective alters the light, and the light alters your experience. Just as your breath alters the rhythm of your body, and your thoughts drift into wider spaces of quiet. You feel suspended in an infinite plane of floating frost. A place without boundaries, without noise, without urgency. The rings extend outward in every direction, forming a thin, luminous sheet around the planet. From within, they feel like a celestial mist, a frozen veil held up by gravity and time. The density of particles varies as you move deeper. Some regions are sparse, open, peacefully quiet. Other regions are gently crowded, with particles drifting together like a slow snowfall captured in orbit. Despite these differences, everything moves in harmony. No collisions are violent. No motion is abrupt. Each interaction is soft, cushioned by the vacuum around it and by the stable orbital paths that guide every fragment. You enter a region of the A-ring where small waves ripple across the particles. These waves are called density waves. They are created by gravitational resonances with Saturn's moons. When a moon's orbit matches a specific ratio with a ring particle, it exerts a repeated gravitational tug. That tug nudges the particles into patterns, into waves, into subtle spirals that move across the rings, like breath moving across still water. The density waves rise and fall slowly, barely a few meters high, but they stretch for thousands of kilometers. Their shapes are elegant, predictable, soft. You drift alongside one wavefront now. It rises beside you like a gently lifting wall of drifting crystals. The particles within it move just a little closer together, just a little brighter in the scattered light. And then the wave subsides again. Your breathing naturally follows the rise and fall. Inhale with the lifting wave. Exhale with the settling motion. Slow, even, deep, as calm as the rings, Below you, Saturn's shadow begins to fall across the ring plane. A massive, dark slice that stretches outward like a cosmic sundial. The shadow is cold, silent, perfectly shaped. As you cross into it, the light dims. The icy particles lose their glow. The entire environment becomes muted, softened by darkness. The shadow does not feel ominous. Instead, it feels protective, like stepping into a quiet room after being in sunlight too long. The temperature of perception cools. Your thoughts quiet even further. Inside the shadow, the particles look different. They do not sparkle. They do not shimmer. Instead, they take on a velvety texture. Soft grays, cool whites, barely visible outlines. This darkness reveals the structure of motion more clearly. With less light, your senses attune to movement rather than brightness. You see slow rotations, gentle drifts, tiny orbital curves so consistent that they feel like a lullaby drawn in space. Some of the larger particles carry surface features, ridges etched by micro-collisions, smooth patches polished by countless years of sunlight, frozen craters from impacts long forgotten. Each one holds a history of quiet events, all of them shaped by time rather than violence. As you float deeper into the shadow, the quiet becomes even more profound. There is no atmosphere to carry sound, no vibration to disturb the stillness, only the faint, almost imaginary hum of gravitational motion. A hum your mind translates into calm, into ease, into rest. The rings contain subtle vertical structures. Most particles lie in a thin, flat plane only about 10 meters thick in many regions. But near certain moons, like Daphnis in the Keeler Gap, the particles rise upward in gentle waves. Vertical walls of ice, only a few hundred meters tall, but majestic in their softness. You glide near one of these vertical waves now. It rises like a frozen crest. Particles drift upward in a slow arc before settling again. The structure moves with a softness that evokes the gentlest ocean swell. Except here, the swell moves not with water, but with orbits, with gravity, with the delicate influence of passing moons. As you watch the wave rise beside you, your inner world rises as well. Your breath lifts. Your awareness expands. Then the wave falls, softly, gracefully, and your body sinks deeper into rest. Above the shadowed ring plane, Saturn's pale, golden arc glows faintly. Even from this distance, the planet feels serene. Its bands of cloud stretch gently along its surface. Muted, soft, calm under the faint sunlight that reaches it. The rings orbit far above the chaotic storms below. Here, you are separated from turbulence by tens of thousands of kilometers. You are cradled in the quietest region of Saturn's realm. As you drift onward, you approach a region influenced by shepherd moons. These moons move along the edges of ring gaps, guiding particles, maintaining sharp boundaries, and preventing the rings from dispersing. Their gravitational pull is subtle yet precise, like the steady hand of a caretaker, smoothing the edges of a delicate structure. You sense this influence here. The particles move slightly differently, more aligned, more guided. Their paths gently curve as they respond to the moon's pull. It feels like entering a region where the music shifts to a softer tempo. Even though you cannot hear anything, the motion feels like a melody, a pattern, a gentle rhythm shaped by celestial physics, a rhythm that blends perfectly with the quiet cadence of your breath. One of these shepherd moons glides into view, tiny compared to Saturn, tiny compared to Earth, but powerful in its local influence. The moon appears as a smooth, icy sphere, drifting serenely just beyond the ring's edge. Its surface reflects the faintest glimmer of light. No atmosphere, no noise, just silent motion through the frozen halo. As it passes, the particles around you shift subtly. Their orbits adjust. Their spacing changes. A faint gravitational whisper passes through the region, not felt physically, but perceived in the motion of the particles. That whisper soothes you. It reassures you. It reminds you that even in the vastness of space, structure exists. Guidance exists. Gentle order exists. You glide further along the ring plane, and soon the sunlight returns. You emerge from Saturn's shadow as though rising from a deep, peaceful lagoon. The icy particles begin to glow again. Soft blues, pale whites, hints of silver and faint gold where the reflected sunlight catches at just the right angle. This transition from shadow to light is like waking slowly without fully leaving sleep. Your senses brighten, but your mind remains calm. Your body remains soft. Your breath remains slow. As more light returns, the structure of the rings becomes clearer. You see thin gaps, narrow lanes of dark space carved cleanly between bright bands of ice. These gaps were created by orbital resonances with Saturn's moons. They form patterns known as ringlets. Each ringlet maintains its own particle density, its own brightness, its own motion. From a distance, these ringlets appear as elegant stripes. Up close, they feel like individual rivers of ice, flowing around the planet in perfect synchronization. You drift through one of the quieter ringlets now. The particles are small here, light, softly reflective. They move past you in a gentle, endless stream. Their consistency creates a soothing visual texture, almost like watching fine snowfall drifting endlessly across your vision. As you float through this region, your thoughts settle even more deeply. The environment invites release. Release of tension. Release of noise. Release of the day that came before this moment. Everything moves slowly. Everything drifts. Everything breathes with an ancient calm. This calm becomes your calm. This silence becomes your silence. This weightlessness becomes your rest. In the distance, you see faint arcs, shimmering curves of light. These are ring spokes, temporary structures that form when charged particles rise above the ring plane. Their appearance is subtle, ghost-like. They drift across the rings like soft shadows made of electricity and dust. Their presence is quiet yet mesmerizing. The spokes shift gently as the planet's magnetic field interacts with the particles. Sometimes they fade entirely. Sometimes they brighten. Always soft. Always gentle. always moving at a pace that invites your entire being to slow down. You are drifting within a cosmic lullaby, a place shaped by physics, but experienced as serenity, a place of frozen light and ancient motion, a place where every particle follows a path older than memory, older than thought, older than life on Earth. As you continue your calm descent through Saturn's halo, your breath remains steady, your mind remains open, your body rests deeper, deeper, and deeper still. This journey is far from over. There are more layers of ice, more waves of motion, more regions of light and shadow, more cosmic quiet waiting to welcome you. You are safe here. You are held here. You are drifting in a frozen sea of calm. And the deeper you drift, the quieter everything becomes. The deeper you drift into Saturn's rings, the more the environment feels like a world of its own. A world without air, without gravity pressing against your skin, without sound carried through atmosphere, yet full of motion, texture, and subtle rhythms that guide your mind toward rest. The icy particles around you continue their slow orbits. Each one glides effortlessly, following a path shaped with elegant precision. Nothing rushes. Nothing collides with force. Even when fragments meet, their impacts are cushioned by the vacuum that surrounds them. A soft tap, a quiet brush, a faint change in trajectory, barely perceptible. This is the realm of gentle forces. Gravity shapes every motion here, but it does so with patience, with subtlety, with a calm touch that brings order instead of chaos. As the particles drift beside you, you begin to sense that same calm entering your body, your thoughts, your breath. Gravity keeps everything in place, and without realizing it, you begin to feel held by that same force. Supported, carried, balanced within a system far larger than yourself. The region you drift into now contains larger fragments, chunks of ice several meters across, some with smooth surfaces carved by years of sunlight, some with angular shapes where collisions have broken them, some rotating slowly, catching light and shadow in alternating rhythms. As they turn, they reveal new faces, new glimmers, new patterns formed across their frozen surfaces. These rotations are soothing to watch. Their pace is gentle, predictable, unhurried. Each turn feels like the slow movement of a mobile above a child's bed, comforting, soft, repetitive in a way that invites relaxation. You drift past one of these larger fragments. Its surface is etched with faint lines, tiny ridges shaped by micro-impacts. Each line tells a story of its quiet journey, its patient orbit, its time spent drifting through Saturn's frozen halo. You feel the presence of these fragments not as danger, but as companionship. They move with you, around you, beside you, each one following its own orbit while contributing to the greater harmony of the rings. Just as your thoughts move, shifting gently, becoming quieter as they align themselves with the rhythm of your breath, the ring region grows denser again. You enter a part of the B ring, one of the most massive and reflective sections. Here, the particles are closely packed, so close that sunlight bouncing between them creates a diffuse glow, a soft, luminous haze that fills the space like a gentle fog. The brightness is not harsh. It is soothing. A cool, white radiance that calms your mind. The light feels soft enough to touch, soft enough to rest upon. As you glide through this region, the glow wraps around you. It fills the space like warm moonlight. Silent, comforting, unbroken by any sudden change. Your breathing slows even further now. The glow seems to absorb your tension. It blends with the quiet of your mind, smoothing out the rough edges of thought. Within this luminous region, you begin to notice waves again. Not density waves this time, but propeller structures, tiny disturbances created by unseen moons embedded within the ring. These moonlets are small, too small to clear full gaps, but large enough to push particles aside as they orbit. The result is a pair of trailing arms, like the blades of a propeller carved into the ring. These structures are faint from afar, but up close, they become visible as shifting patterns, bright streaks of reflected light, darker lanes where particles have been nudged aside. You drift along one of these propeller arms now. The pattern feels soothing. Its symmetry, its gentle curves, its slow progression through the icy plane. It resembles a soft spiral, a natural shape found throughout the universe. A reminder that even small bodies leave gentle marks on their surroundings. Your own presence feels like that moonlit. Small, quiet, yet part of something vast and harmonious. Your breath becomes the pattern. Your mind becomes the orbit. The calm becomes you. The ring particles here move in a slightly different rhythm, a little more coordinated, as though the moonlet's influence extends beyond gravity, shaping a quiet choreography. The particles drift outward, then fall inward, all while maintaining the same orbital speed. A slow, soothing pulse. You inhale with the outward drift, exhale with the inward fall. Your breath becomes synchronized with the orbital dance. As you continue your journey, a gentle change in light appears ahead, a shimmering transition from brightness to shadow. You are approaching the boundary where Saturn's shadow begins again. But this time, the shadow is thinner, more stretched, its edges softened by the angle of the distant sun. Crossing into the shadow feels like slipping beneath a soft blanket. The brightness fades, the particles dim, the luminous glow becomes a muted gray. Your senses relax. Your mind enters deeper quiet. In the shadow, temperature does not change in the way it does on Earth. There is no air to feel cool, no wind to chill your skin. But visually, the environment becomes calmer. Colors disappear. Light softens. Movement feels more dreamlike. Some particles in the shadow appear almost invisible. They drift like faint ghosts, their presence revealed only when they cross paths with slightly brighter fragments. This creates a slow, calming flicker, soft pulses of light. Each pulse feels like a gentle exhale. Far below the ring plane, Saturn rotates quietly. From here, the planet appears darker in shadow. Only a faint crescent of gold outlines its curve. The rest is shrouded in deep, peaceful, dark. The planet's storms, so powerful and immense, are hidden beneath the shadowed cloud tops. Up here, they do not affect you. Up here, there is only quiet. As you drift further into shadow, the stars beyond Saturn become clearer. Distant points of light. Cold. Still. Sharp. Like tiny crystals scattered across a velvet void. The stars do not twinkle. There is no atmosphere to bend their light. They shine steadily, calmly. Their constancy adds to the serenity of the moment. You feel held between two infinities. The infinite plane of Saturn's rings below you, and the infinite field of stars above you. The silence deepens. Your breath slows even more. Your thoughts become simpler, softer, like particles drifting toward a gentle orbit. A faint movement catches your attention. Not a particle this time, but a moon. A larger one. Perhaps Tethys, glowing with icy brightness. Perhaps Enceladus, famous for its subsurface ocean and cryovolcanic plumes. Perhaps Dione, with subtle fractures tracing its ancient surface. Whatever moon it is, it glides through the darkness like a pearl suspended in space. Silent, perfectly balanced. Its motion so steady that it feels like time itself is slowing to match its pace. Saturn's moons influence the rings gently. Their gravity tugs on particles, carving gaps, maintaining boundaries, creating resonant patterns that keep the rings organized. These moons act like guardians, quiet shepherds, guiding countless shards of ice along safe 8 and the 60 predictable paths. Their presence brings comfort. They feel like companions drifting nearby, watching over your journey. As the moon continues its orbit, it passes behind a section of the ring. Its bright surface dims, then disappears, replaced by the soft gray of shadowed ice. And then it emerges again on the other side. A slow reappearance. A gentle return. You feel your mind following this rhythm, disappearing into quiet, reappearing in clarity, then fading again into even deeper rest. The ring particles around you thicken once more. You enter a bright band where sunlight reflects intensely off dense clusters of ice. Even in shadow, some light leaks through, scattered by the rings themselves. This creates a soft, indirect illumination, like moonlight, filtered through frosted glass. Particles drift past you in endless streams. Some slide beneath you. Some rise gently above. Their paths never cross in harsh ways. Each motion is cushioned by precision, by orbital consistency, by a gentle cosmic order that feels reassuring to your entire being. You begin to sense that the rings are not flat, not truly. Tiny variations lift some particles slightly upward, lower others slightly downward, creating a textured layer of frozen motion. These vertical shifts are subtle, measured in meters, but they create a visual softness, a smooth, undulating field that moves like slow waves on a calm sea. You drift through these gentle undulations now. Each wave feels like a breath, a soft rise, a gentle fall. Your body mirrors the motion. Your thoughts follow the rhythm. Everything moves together in quiet synchronicity. Every particle you see, every shard of ice, every fragment of rock, Every drifting crystal is following a path shaped by laws older than life, older than planets, older than stars. These laws are constant, stable, reliable, and as you drift within them, you begin to feel that stability within yourself. A sense of grounding despite the vastness, a sense of balance despite the weightlessness, a sense of peace despite the infinite space around you. The journey continues. The rings stretch outward, waiting to reveal more layers, more light, more shadow, more ancient rhythms to guide you deeper into rest. And with every gentle orbit, with every drifting fragment, with every quiet moment, you sink further into calm, further into stillness, further into the peaceful embrace of Saturn's frozen halo. You continue drifting deeper into Saturn's rings, moving through a region where the particles thin into wide, gentle bands. The transition is soft, subtle, like stepping from a quiet forest into a clearing full of pale, diffused light. Here, the emptiness between the particles feels spacious, open, peaceful. The particles float farther apart, each one isolated in its own small orbit, drifting through the faint sunlight like suspended snowflakes. The silence becomes even purer in this region. With fewer collisions, the tiny echoes of icy impacts fade away. All that remains is the quiet hum of gravitational motion, a hum your mind understands, not as sound, but as calm, steadying calm, deepening calm, calm that settles through your chest and spreads outward like a slow exhale across your entire being. The fragments around you vary in size. Some are tiny grains of ice, barely visible, barely more than flecks of light drifting through the void. Others are larger, almost like floating boulders made of pure frost. Their surfaces glow softly when light touches them, then fade smoothly back into darkness as they rotate. Each rotation is slow, hypnotic, unbroken by anything sudden. Every turn feels like a gentle gesture of the universe itself, guiding your awareness into deeper stillness. The region you drift through now is part of the sea ring. This ring is thinner, darker, more delicate. Its particles absorb more light than they reflect, so the environment takes on a soft gray hue, like dusk settling across a silent plain. This muted light calms your senses. It quiets the impulses that look for brightness. It invites you to rest in the softness of shadow. Your breath slows. Your eyelids grow heavy. Your mind becomes lighter, drifting with the particles around you. As you move forward, a faint shimmer begins to appear in the distance, a scattering of light that sparkles in thin vertical streaks. This is a ringlet, a narrow band of particles more densely packed than the region around it. From afar, the ringlet looks like a single line of brightness. Up close, it reveals itself as thousands of tiny fragments drifting together with gentle coordination. You glide toward the ringlet. As you enter it, the particles grow brighter. Their density increases. Their movement becomes slightly more synchronized. The faint glitter of ice intensifies, not sharply, not suddenly, but with steady, dreamlike progression, like stepping into a soft snowfall illuminated by distant starlight. Within the ringlet, the fragments move closer to one another. tiny collisions occur with more frequency. Each one is gentle, a soft kiss of ice against ice, barely perceptible. But each collision creates a faint, rhythmic texture, a quiet pattern of interactions that sinks into your awareness, relaxing you even further. The faint echoes remind you of two things happening simultaneously. The universe is vast, and the universe is gentle. Both truths cradle you as you drift deeper into the ring. As you move through this luminous band, you begin to see delicate patterns forming across the particles. Some align into thin strands. Some drift into swirling patches. Some cluster into smooth arcs that flow seamlessly across your vision. These patterns form naturally through gravitational interactions. Nothing forces them. Nothing rushes them. They arise and dissolve with quiet elegance. You feel your thoughts doing the same, arising softly, dissolving gently, without pressure, without weight, without needing to cling to anything at all. Ahead of you, a gentle widening appears, a small gap within the sea ring. This gap was carved by a resonance with one of Saturn's inner moons. A tiny gravitational influence repeated over millions of years, pushing particles aside until a smooth lane formed. You drift into this gap now. The emptiness feels cleansing, like a wide breath after a long silence. The absence of particles makes the stars beyond seem brighter, sharper, more defined. They shine against the dark backdrop like crystalline points scattered across the void. Each star seems steady, calm, patient, offering a sense of stability that sinks gently into your body, into your breath, into the space behind your eyes. You continue drifting, slowly, effortlessly, as though carried by the same forces that guide the ring particles. Your breath deepens, your muscles loosen, your mind softens. Moving farther along the gap, you encounter a faint glowing mist. Not a cloud, not gas, but fine icy dust suspended in low-density particles, so small they respond to electromagnetic forces as much as gravity. These particles form subtle ring spokes, rising slightly above the main plane of the rings. The spokes look like pale, vertical streaks drifting with the particles. Their presence is almost dreamlike. The way they shimmer, the way they fade, the way they move with such slow grace. As you pass through the spokes, you feel the environment change once more. The light becomes softer. The motion becomes slower. The tiny particles shift around you like a quiet halo of frost. You drift through them as though moving through a gentle snowfall that cannot touch your skin, falling, rising, scattering in silent motion all around you. Your mind follows that motion, drifting, settling, rising, settling again. The deeper you move, the more you feel the influence of Saturn's magnetic field. It shapes the paths of the smallest particles, lifting them, lowering them, guiding them into ephemeral patterns that last only minutes or hours before dissolving again. Nothing permanent, nothing rigid, only soft, temporary beauty forming out of cosmic quiet, like thoughts arising gently in your mind, softly, without effort, without staying too long, then drifting away again, as naturally as the ice around you. you pass beyond the spokes and return to a region of steady, predictable orbits. The particles move in a smooth sheet, a thin, almost perfect plane that stretches outward in both directions. The uniformity is soothing, reassuring. The stability of this region calms your breath even further. Your inhale becomes long. Your exhale becomes slow. Each breath mirrors the steady motion of the ring. Unbroken, balanced, peaceful. Small shadows pass beneath you. These shadows belong to the particles themselves, tiny silhouettes cast against the ring plane by distant sunlight. The shadows drift across one another, overlapping, separating, sliding through space in a choreography that feels ancient and familiar at once. Watching them feels comforting. The slow movement, the gentle blending of light and dark, the faint transitions from brightness to shade. All of it soothes your inner world. The shadows move like thoughts slowing down before sleep, quieting into a rhythm that feels safe and restful. As you glide forward, you see the curve of Saturn's limb rising once more beneath you, half in shadow, half in light. The boundary between them, soft, blended. The planet rotates below with patient slowness. Clouds swirl in muted tones. No sound reaches you. No turbulence touches the rings. All storms remain far below, unseen and unfelt. Only peace surrounds you. Only quiet motions guide you. Only gradual transitions shape your journey. A soft glow appears to your right. A small moon, perhaps Pandora or Prometheus, moves gently along its orbit near the narrow F ring. Its surface shines faintly, a simple sphere of ice reflecting pale sunlight. As the moon drifts by, its gravity tugs delicately at the ring particles. The F ring ripples, curves, forms braided structures, delicate strands that twist around one another like the threads of a cosmic ribbon. You watch the braid form slowly, gracefully. The beauty is subtle but captivating. 2 or 3 thin strands of particles wrap around each other, separating and rejoining as they orbit. These braids exist because small moons nearby pull on the particles with varying strengths, shifting their paths just enough to create gentle spirals. This motion feels deeply soothing. It resembles the soft, rhythmic crossing of waves on a calm shoreline. A pattern so quiet, it becomes part of your own breath, part of your heartbeat, part of your drifting awareness. You continue moving through this tranquil region. Each ripple, each braid, each orbit becomes a soft, silent reminder that the universe knows how to create calm even within vast complexity. The ice around you continues to drift. The moons continue their quiet guidance. The rings continue their steady orbit. And you continue sinking deeper, deeper into rest, deeper into quiet, deeper into the peaceful embrace of Saturn's frozen halo. Your mind grows lighter. Your body grows softer. Your breathing becomes slow and steady. Every motion around you invites sleep. Every particle whispers calm. Every fragment carries silence. And the deeper you drift, the deeper your rest becomes. You continue gliding through Saturn's frozen halo, moving deeper into regions where the structure of the rings becomes more intricate, more layered, more full of subtle details that reveal themselves only through patience, only through stillness, only through the slow drifting motion you've now settled into. Ahead, the rings widen into a luminous plain that stretches outward like a vast, celestial lake made of drifting ice. The light here is soft, golden, filtered through the faint sunlight that reaches Saturn from the distant sun. This golden glow gives the ring particles a warm shimmer, even though each fragment is made of ice colder than anything on Earth. The contrast, the warmth of light, the coldness of ice creates a serene balance, a harmony your body responds to instinctively. The warmth soothes your mind. The cold quiets your thoughts. Together, they form a gentle, peaceful equilibrium that eases you deeper into rest. As you drift forward, you approach the A-ring once again. This region is brighter, thicker. Its icy particles reflect sunlight with stronger intensity, creating a soft radiance that feels like the glow of dawn stretched across millions of kilometers. Within the A-ring, you notice patterns forming as you move closer. Thin lines, gentle striations, subtle spirals. These are caused by orbital resonances, small gravitational tugs from Saturn's moons that repeat at precise intervals. These tugs pull the particles into order, into quiet, predictable waves, into structures that move slowly, like soft breaths drawn by the planet itself. You drift into one of these waves now. A slow rise, a gentle fall. The wave carries its particles upward in a smooth arc before letting them settle back down again. The entire structure feels like a vast, frozen tide. A tide without water. A tide without sound. A tide shaped only by gravity flowing through space like an invisible current. You follow this frozen tide for a while. Your body moves as though riding a gentle swell. Your breath synchronizes with the rise and fall. Inhale during the lift. Exhale during the descent. Each cycle draws you deeper into calm, deeper into softness, deeper into rest. The wave gradually dissolves. The particles scatter into a more uniform field again. You emerge into a region filled with large, slow-moving fragments. Some of these fragments are several meters wide, small worlds of ice drifting through the halo. Each one rotates gently, catching bits of sunlight that flicker across their surfaces. The flicker is slow, predictable, hypnotic, almost like a lighthouse turning in the dark, but softer, much softer. You drift near one of these icy fragments. Its surface is smooth in some places, rough in others. Some patches shine with bright reflection. Others absorb light and appear darker. The combination creates patterns that shift endlessly as the fragment rotates. Not fast, not slow, just steady, balanced, rhythmic in a way that calms the space within your chest. Tiny crystals cling to parts of its surface. These crystals scatter faint halos of light as the fragment turns. The halos shimmer like small, delicate rainbows that glow briefly before fading back into whiteness. Watching these miniature patterns unfold helps your thoughts settle even more. Nothing rushes. Nothing demands attention. Everything happens softly, without urgency. Your mind follows that softness. Beyond this region, the rings begin to thin again. you drift into a more open expanse where particles spread far apart. The openness feels spacious, airy, like gliding into a calm valley after moving through a forest. The stars behind the rings grow more visible. Their bright points shine through the gaps between particles. Each star appears sharp and steady, unblinking against the blackness. With each passing minute, you feel yourself becoming lighter, more open, more clear. Your breath becomes slower. Your muscles loosen. Your thoughts drift like fine ice particles settling into orbit. Far to your left, a faint gleam begins to grow. A moon approaches. Its path arcs gently across the ring plane. This moon is Mimas, one of Saturn's smaller, icy companions. Round, bright, quiet. Mimas is responsible for carving the Cassini division, the wide gap between the A and B rings. Its gravity, though gentle, repeated its influence millions of times over millions of years. Each pass nudged particles. Each tug guided fragments aside. Over time, a vast, smooth lane appeared. A lane you will soon pass through. As Mimas glides past, you feel a soft gravitational pull. Not intense, not unsettling, just a gentle shift. A whisper of motion that passes through the particles around you. They drift slightly, adjust their paths, then settle again into the stable rhythm of the rings. This subtle tug reminds you that everything here is connected. Moons, particles, light, shadows, your breath, your thoughts, all gently woven into the same gravitational fabric, the same cosmic lullaby. You approach the Cassini division now. From afar, it looks dark, empty, a wide gap where particles are sparse. But as you enter it, you realize it is not truly empty. Tiny fragments still drift through the division, less dense, less reflective, but present in their own quiet way. Entering the Cassini division feels like moving into a vast, open hall. The sense of space increases. The environment feels calmer, airier. The stars behind the gap now shine with even greater clarity. It feels like drifting through the stillest part of the night sky. Here, the faint scattering of particles creates a minimal soundscape. Barely any collisions occur. Only the softest, most delicate echoes, like distant ice shifting across a frozen lake during the quietest hour before dawn. This near silence deepens your relaxation. You feel the muscles in your shoulders relax. The muscles along your jaw loosen. Your breath becomes deeper and more natural. The Cassini division is wide. It stretches for thousands of kilometers, but you drift through it slowly, steadily, unhurried. The darkness around you is gentle, not empty, not cold, just quiet, perfectly quiet. After some time, faint brightness begins to appear again ahead of you. The B ring awaits, the most massive of Saturn's rings, the brightest, the densest, a kingdom of ice drifting in a thick, luminous band around the planet. You glide toward it, and the transition is soft but noticeable. Particles grow closer together. Reflected light increases. A pale glow spreads across your vision. Entering the B ring feels like stepping into a soft, glowing cloud made of ice. The particles reflect nearly all sunlight that touches them. The brightness is not harsh. It is diffused, smooth, like moonlight reflected off snow. The density of particles here creates a unique visual texture. A shimmering field, a luminous tapestry of drifting ice. You watch as countless particles slide past one another in quiet harmony. Their motions align, overlap, separate, rejoin. A cosmic dance unfolding in silence. In this region, you notice self-gravity wakes, structures formed when particles pull on each other, creating elongated clumps. These wakes appear as alternating stripes of brightness and shadow. They move with the particles, forming and dissolving continuously. From the inside, drifting through them feels like passing between soft, frozen dunes. Each wake rises gently, falls gently, flows into the next with uninterrupted grace. You drift along one of these wakes now. Its structure is smooth, calming, predictable in its slow rhythm. As you follow its curve, your breath follows a similar arc. Slow, long, even. Each exhale feels like settling deeper into a soft bed. Each inhale feels like rising into a calm sea of pale light. The wakes slowly fade as you move deeper. Particles become more uniformly distributed, though still incredibly dense. The brightness around you grows stronger, more encompassing. It feels like being inside a gentle, glowing cocoon, warm in appearance, cool in reality, but comforting in every way. Shadows still exist here. Larger fragments cast long, thin shadows that drift across the ring plane. These shadows overlap, intertwine, shift slowly as the fragments rotate. The interplay of light and shadow creates a calming, hypnotic effect. You watch one shadow pass beneath you. It moves so slowly that you can barely perceive its motion. Its edges soften, fade, then merge with the brightness again. The transition is peaceful, reassuring, like watching a cloud drift lazily across a still sky. As you drift deeper into the B ring, everything becomes quieter, brighter, more consistent. The field of ice around you seems endless, timeless, balanced. Every particle moves with perfect patience, perfect calm, perfect acceptance of its place in the orbit. That calm begins to settle into you completely. It fills your chest. It softens your thoughts. It quiets the spaces inside your mind that once held tension. You are drifting in one of the most serene places in the solar system. A kingdom of frozen light. A celestial sea of quiet motion. A sanctuary where nothing rushes. Nothing struggles. Nothing breaks the peace. And with every drifting fragment, with every soft collision, with every gentle wave of light, you sink deeper and deeper and deeper into rest. You drift deeper into the B ring, where the density of particles is at its greatest. Here, the light becomes thick, soft, immersive, like floating inside a pale ocean of frozen radiance. The particles surrounding you move in vast numbers, yet never collide with force. Each interaction is quiet, soft, barely a whisper of motion as fragments glide gently past one another. The entire environment feels like a slow, eternal snowfall, but one that neither falls nor rises, only drifts in graceful orbit. As you continue gliding, you begin to sense a subtle rhythm within the dense field of ice. Not a rhythm of sound, not a rhythm of temperature, but a rhythm of motion, a slow, mathematical pulse, created by the continuous gravitational interactions between millions of particles. This rhythm feels ancient, calm, precise, a cosmic heartbeat marking the passage of time not in seconds or minutes, but in gentle waves of orbital drift. You inhale. The particles seem to expand around you. You exhale. They seem to settle closer. Your breath becomes part of the rings, and the rings become part of your breath. Ahead, a faint change appears in the luminous texture. Not brighter, not darker, just different. A subtle tilting effect that makes the ring plane appear slightly warped. This phenomenon is called bending waves. Vertical waves caused by gravitational resonances with Saturn's moons, especially the moon Titan, whose powerful pull ripples through the rings like a gentle vibration passing through a taut, icy membrane. The bending waves rise only a few meters above the ring plane. But from your perspective, this rise feels elegant, graceful, like drifting across a soft swell on a calm ocean. You glide upward as the wave lifts. The particles rise with you, forming a delicate, curved sheet of shimmering ice. Then, slowly, effortlessly, the wave settles. You follow it downward, floating deeper into calm, deeper into quiet, deeper into the peaceful motion of Saturn's frozen tides. As the wave dissolves, the ring particles become more uniform again. The environment returns to a steady, pale brightness. You drift among countless icy fragments, each one turning slowly in the faint sunlight. Some fragments rotate end over end. Some spin with a gentle wobble. Some barely turn at all. Their motions are so slow, so delicate, that each turn feels less like rotation and more like a deep, cosmic sigh. The surface features of these fragments vary too. Some are smooth, polished by countless grazing collisions. Some are rough, covered in tiny pits created by impacts with micrometeoroids. Some carry faint fractures, delicate cracks, formed when the fragment was once part of a larger body that broke apart. Each fragment is a tiny world, a frozen history, a drifting memory orbiting Saturn in serene silence. As you glide among them, you feel as if you're drifting through an ancient library, one made not of books, but of ice. Every fragment holds a record of its past. Every orbit writes a new line of its story from. And yet, none of these stories are loud. None demand attention. They simply exist, quietly, like the softest whispers in a peaceful room. You continue drifting until the density begins to change once more. Ahead, the icy field becomes slightly less crowded. Particles spread out. Light becomes more diffuse. The brightness fades into a soft silver-gray tone. You are entering the C-ring region again, but farther outward this time. The particles here are darker, more dust-covered, less reflective. The ring becomes semi-transparent in places, allowing you to see faint glimpses of Saturn's atmosphere far below. Looking down, you see hints of cloud bands moving quietly across the planet's curved surface. Cream, gold, pale brown, all drifting with slow, planetary winds that you cannot hear and cannot feel, only see. From this height, the atmosphere looks like soft brushstrokes painted across a silent sphere. The colors shift gently as the planet rotates. Nothing abrupt, nothing harsh, just steady, endless movement that feels as calming as the slow turning of pages in a bedtime book. Returning your gaze to the ring plane, you watch fine particles drift by in thin streams. These streams form naturally as dust follows slightly different orbits than larger chunks of ice. The dust glows faintly in the dim light, creating an effect like soft mist rolling across the frozen plain. You drift through this mist-like region slowly. The tiny particles move around you in smooth, graceful arcs. Some pass close, some drift far away, all silently following the invisible lines drawn by Saturn's gravity. Moving farther, you notice a subtle shimmering ahead, a faint sparkling that flickers like starlight on calm water. This is a dusty ringlet, formed by the accumulation of microice and small grains. The ringlet curves in front of you, a delicate ribbon of faint light suspended in the darkness. Drifting into the ringlet feels like entering a soft cloud of glittering frost. The particles are too small to see individually. Instead, they create a shimmering haze like moonlit fog drifting through the quiet night. As you pass through, the shimmer becomes rhythmic. Patterns appear and disappear with your movement. Light intensifies. Light fades over and over, like breathing, like sleeping, like dreaming. Your own body responds to this visual rhythm. Your breath slows, your pulse softens, your awareness drifts to the quiet center of your mind, where only calm remains. As the shimmering fades, the ring plane becomes darker again. You emerge into a region where particles spread even farther apart. This openness creates a sense of freedom. Space, stillness. Each fragment floats alone, like tiny frozen lanterns scattered across a vast, silent desert. The emptiness is soothing. It amplifies the sense of quiet. You feel as though you're drifting through a deep, cosmic exhale. Far ahead, the curve of Saturn's shadow stretches outward across the ring. You move toward it slowly, peacefully. As you cross into the shadow, the last of the sunlight fades from the particles around you. Their glow dims to a ghost-like softness. Their edges blur. Their presence becomes whispers. Inside the shadow, light behaves differently. Particles reflect only the faint illumination bouncing off other icy fragments. Everything becomes muted. Everything becomes still. Everything becomes wrapped in soft, gentle darkness. You drift deeper into the shadow. You feel the world around you settle into even greater calm. Your body feels weightless. Your mind feels spacious. Your breath moves slowly, as if time itself has softened its grip. Looking upward, you see Saturn's rings glowing faintly beyond the darkness. A thin outline, a soft halo. The shape is barely visible, but comforting in its presence. Looking downward, Saturn's night side stretches beneath you in deep, endless black. Only a faint outline marks the boundary between the planet and space. It looks serene, silent, sleeping. This dark region feels like a sanctuary, a quiet chamber carved out of the cosmos, where even the universe pauses to rest. After some time drifting through this gentle shadow, brightness reappears ahead, a soft glow, a pale halo of light. You are exiting the shadow and returning towards sunlight. The transition is slow, delicate, beautiful. Particles brighten one by one. Shadows shrink. Everything slowly returns to glowing life. Crossing back into sunlight feels like waking from a deep nap. Not fully awake, just drifting within a soft, peaceful haze. As you re-enter the light, the rings shimmer around you in soft gradients of silver, white, and pale gold. Every particle glows. Every shadow fades. Every motion becomes gentle daylight, drifting through frozen space. Your breath matches this brightness. Deep, slow, comfortably calm. You are halfway through your journey now. Halfway through Saturn's endless sea of drifting ice. Halfway between wakefulness and sleep. And with each passing fragment, with each drift of frozen light, you fall deeper into rest, deeper into softness, deeper into the peaceful embrace of the rings. You continue drifting along the luminous curve of Saturn's rings, your motions soft and effortless, guided by the gentle pull of gravity. The icy particles around you glow with a mix of silver, pale blue, and faint gold. Light scatters across their surfaces like a quiet symphony of reflections, each shimmer slower and gentler than the last. As you drift forward, a subtle change begins to appear in the uniform field of ice. A faint narrowing, a thin, delicate break in the continuous glow. This is a ring gap, one of the many narrow spaces carved by Saturn's shepherd moons. These moons are small, often no more than a few tens of kilometers across. Yet, their gravitational influence is precise, consistent, like a gentle hand guiding millions of drifting crystals into orderly paths. As you approach the gap, the particles begin to move differently. Their orbits tighten. Their spacing shifts. The entire structure seems to inhale slightly, a soft, collective tightening. In response to the moon's invisible pull, a shape emerges from the distance. A tiny sphere, icy, smooth, quiet. This is Pan, the shepherd moon that maintains the Anka Gap. Pan floats calmly in the center of the gap, like a pearl resting in the groove of a cosmic ring. Its gravity sweeps the region clean, preventing particles from drifting into the gap. But the moon does not simply clear space. It sculpts. It shapes. It creates patterns in the ring edges that ripple outward like the softest waves on still water. As Pan glides past you, it moves with deep calm. No struggling. No turbulence. Just a small, steady world following its orbit around Saturn. Its surface shines with faint light. Its shadow drifts behind it like a dark, gentle brushstroke. Particles near the moon behave differently. Some drift outward, some drift inward. All respond to the moon's presence in perfect synchronicity. The motion is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet undeniably graceful. You drift closer to the edge of the gap. Particles here are elongated into faint waves. These are called edge waves, created when Pan's orbit slightly tilts or disturbs the surrounding ice. The waves look like delicate ripples carved into a smooth sheet of frost. Drifting along the waves feels soothing. Their curves guide your vision in slow, gentle lines. Not straight, not chaotic, just soft, rolling patterns that repeat quietly, like a lullaby drawn across the ring plane. As you glide past the outer edge of the Enki Gap, Pan slowly recedes behind you. Its influence softens. Particles regain their wider spacing. The waves dissolve back into smooth, even orbits. But another presence lies ahead. Another shepherd moon. This one, even smaller, delicate, graceful in its influence. Daphnis, the moon that maintains the Keeler Gap, barely 8 kilometers across, yet capable of shaping the rings with extraordinary precision. As you approach the Keeler Gap, you see something unusual. Particles are rising. Not far, just a few hundred meters, but enough to create walls of drifting ice that stand above the ring plane. These are vertical waves, created as Daphnis gently pulls particles upward and downward in small oscillations. The waves look like frozen dunes, tall, soft, curving upward in slow arcs. Their forms are delicate, shaped by a tiny moon's careful influence. You drift toward one of these vertical walls. Its height rises gradually as you approach, but nothing about it feels imposing. It is silent, soft, like a translucent curtain made of frost. You glide across its edge, upward, then downward, each motion gentle, smooth, rhythmic. The wave carries you as if you are weightless, as if the universe itself is cradling you in its slow, steady breath. Once you pass the vertical waves, the ring plane stretches flat again. Particles drift in their familiar orbits. Shadow and light play across the icy field with the same quiet elegance as before. A faint glow begins to gather in the distance, brighter than the surrounding rings. Slender, narrow, almost like a delicate thread of silver suspended across the darkness. This is the F-ring, one of the most dynamic and mysterious structures in Saturn's system. Unlike the broader rings, the F-ring is thin, fragile, constantly shifting under the influence of 2 shepherd moons, Prometheus and Pandora. Prometheus orbits just inside the F-ring, Pandora just outside. Their alternating gravitational tugs stretch and compress the ring in a slow, rhythmic cycle. The result is a braided, ever-changing structure that behaves more like a fluid than a solid ring. As you draw nearer, you begin to see the braids, thin strands of ice intertwining, separating, rejoining, all drifting around the planet in a quiet, celestial dance. Some strands appear bright, some faint, some curve inward, some outward. Together, they form a living ribbon of ice. You drift into the region beside the F-ring, Particles move with more variety here. Some spiral slightly. Some shift inward, then outward again. Some trail behind, faintly, almost like soft feathers made of light. The complexity of motion is mesmerizing, yet nothing feels chaotic. Every curve, every shift, every faint trail follows the same slow, cosmic tempo. Prometheus appears first, a small, elongated moon drifting gracefully along its orbit. Its surface shows grooves and ridges, signs of past impacts and icy fractures. As Prometheus approaches the F ring, particles respond. The strands tighten, stretch, shift into new forms. Watching this interaction feels like observing a quiet conversation between moon and ring. A whisper carried through gravity rather than sound. A gentle shaping of icy threads in a language older than time. Prometheus continues on, and the ring relaxes. Its strands loosen, then slowly tighten again as Pandora approaches from the opposite side. Pandora's influence is softer, more subtle. It smooths the ring's outer edges, guiding stray particles back into place. Together, the two moons maintain the F-ring's structure, not with force, not with conflict, but with gentle alternation, like two hands weaving threads into a soft, shifting braid. You drift beside the braid for a while. Its strands shimmer in the sunlight. Its motion soothes your breath. Its patterns calm your thoughts. You watch as the structures shift slowly, like drifting silk suspended in vacuum. Occasionally, you notice bright knots, small clumps of ice. Some knots stretch into narrow filaments. Some collapse into soft clouds. All of them drift peacefully, held together only by faint gravitational whispers. The beauty of the F-ring lies in its impermanence, its constant change, its gentle instability that never becomes chaos. Just endless motion, endless softness, endless quiet. As you drift away from the F-ring, the environment becomes calmer once more. The complexity fades behind you. The braids dissolve into the distance. The bright strands narrow into a subtle arc of faint light. The rings ahead grow broader again, smoother, more uniform. You glide into the A-ring's outer regions, where particles settle into steady, predictable motion. The sunlight here is soft and low, giving the icy field a warm, golden hue. Every fragment glows with subtle radiance. Every shadow stretches long and smooth across the ring plane. Your breath follows the warmth. Slow, deep, comfortfully quiet. You have drifted far across Saturn's rings now, past bending waves, past the B rings, luminous clouds, is the remediated, past the Cassini divisions, vast openness, past the sculpting of Pan and Daphnis, past the braids of Prometheus and Pandora. And the deeper you drift, the quieter everything becomes. The softer the universe feels, the more your body melts into rest. The journey continues, still gentle, still calm, still guiding you toward the deepest parts of sleep. You drift farther along, Saturn's rings, leaving the delicate braids of the F-ring behind you. The space around you opens once more into wide, luminous plains of drifting ice. The golden glow softens, the shadows lengthen, and the entire ring system seems to breathe in one slow, continuous motion. Each particle glides smoothly along its orbit. No sudden changes, no harsh collisions, just endless drifting like snowflakes carried by invisible wind across a silent wilderness. As you move, the rings feel more and more like an ocean. Not of water, not of waves, but an ocean. An ocean of frozen motion. An ocean where every fragment follows a rhythm too ancient to be hurried, too patient to ever disrupt your rest. You drift into a region where the particles become slightly darker, dustier. The sunlight reflected here is muted, gentle. This is part of the D-ring, one of the innermost, faintest rings of Saturn. The D-ring is delicate, almost ghost-like. Its particles are small, thin grains of ice, tiny flecks of dust, and light-scattering fragments that drift like a soft, transparent fog. Entering this region feels like gliding through a faint, ethereal cloud. The light dims to a pale silver gray. The particles become harder to see, their forms dissolving into thin, drifting curtains that swirl slowly around you. Your breath relaxes even further. You feel a pleasant heaviness settling over your arms, your legs, your spine, your thoughts. Nothing asks for your attention. Nothing demands clarity. Everything drifts. And so do you. The D-ring lies closest to Saturn's atmosphere. Looking down, you see the top of the cloud layers beneath you. Their forms are smooth, stretched into long bands by the planet's rapid rotation. The clouds move silently, in gentle swirls of cream and beige, their patterns shifting in slow, graceful cycles. You drift low enough that Saturn's presence feels near, yet still perfectly peaceful. There is no turbulence here, no storms that reach this high, only quiet bands of atmospheric haze moving in steady, unhurried flow. Above you, the faint particles of the D-ring continue to drift. Some catch tiny glints of sunlight. Some glow faintly with reflected planetary light. Some carry subtle electrical charges that cause them to hover slightly above or below the ring plane. These charged particles respond to Saturn's magnetic field. They rise, then fall, then rise again. Their motion is soft, like the slow floating of dust in a sunlit room. Much slower, peacefully slow. You drift through one of these charged sheets now. The particles shimmer around you like tiny, suspended stars. Their light dances in faint pulses, guided not by wind, but by electromagnetic whispers, too gentle to disturb your rest. The further inward you drift, the thinner the ring particles become. They gradually fade until the ring resembles a pale, transparent veil stretched across Saturn's horizon. Even the faintest movement of your drifting body feels as if it stirs the dust around you, not physically, but visually, like a dream brushing against the edges of a quiet memory. Far behind you, the brighter rings shine with layered luminosity. The A ring, the B ring, the C ring, all glowing softly like stacked sheets of crystalline light. Ahead of you, Saturn fills more of the sky. Its massive presence is calm, comforting, its curvature moves with the slow patience of a sleeping giant. As you draw closer, the faintest atmospheric glow, a soft band of golden haze hugging the planet's edge. This is Saturn's limb glow, caused by sunlight scattering through the upper atmosphere. The glow is gentle, warm in appearance, like a candle's halo seen through frosted glass. Your drifting slows subtly, not from resistance, not from friction, there is nearly none in space, but from the gentle gravitational gradient as you move closer to the planet. You feel the slow change, like a deep inhalation settling into your body. Calm, steady, reassuring. The D-ring becomes thinner still. Particles now appear only as faint sparks drifting in near darkness. Their presence is subtle enough to resemble tiny fireflies scattered across an endless night. One by one, they pass behind you, fading into the distance, becoming part of the shimmering field of ice you've already left behind. Then, a soft glow appears to your left. Another moon, larger than the shepherd moons, more luminous. This is Enceladus, one of the most remarkable moons in the solar system. Enceladus glides through space like a smooth pearl. Its surface is bright white, made of fresh water ice that reflects sunlight almost perfectly. Across its southern hemisphere, faint fractures called tiger stripes stretch outward in long lines. From these fractures, geysers of water vapor erupt periodically, shooting material into space. This material becomes part of the E-ring, a vast, diffuse ring farther out from Saturn. Every plume from Enceladus adds new particles to the ring, tiny grains of ice that drift outward, glowing faintly in sunlight. Although you are not in the E-ring yet, you can see some of these particles shimmering in the distance like ghostly trails. They form faint arcs that curve beautifully around the planet, visible only when the light catches them at just the right angle. Enceladus continues drifting across the sky, silent, graceful. Its geysers invisible from this angle, but its presence calming nonetheless. It moves with serene inevitability, its orbit steady and unchanging over long stretches of cosmic time. As the moon slides past, it casts a faint glow upon the upper atmosphere of Saturn. The light diffuses softly, becoming a pale halo just above the golden clouds. The effect is dreamlike, tranquil, a quiet merging of moonlight and planetary reflection. You drift along the limb of Saturn for a while, letting the planet's immense shape fill your vision. The curvature feels protective, like a massive, silent guardian watching over the rings and everything that drifts within them. The cloud tops move in slow, hypnotic bands. Some swirl gently into oval storms. Some stretch out into long, pale ribbons adorned with tiny textures that shift over hours, not minutes. No wind reaches you. No sound, only visual softness, calming your senses piece by piece. As you drift, you begin to feel an inner stillness settle more deeply. Your breath becomes long, wide, easy. Your thoughts begin to dissolve gently into the quiet around you. Soon, the D-ring grows less distinct. You drift outward again, moving along the curve of the rings like a leaf caught in a gentle tide. The faint grains become slightly brighter, slightly larger, The transition is so gradual that you barely notice it happening. This is the inner sea ring once more. The particles here glow with a soft, powdery light. Their movement is calm, predictable, like a slow snowfall illuminated by a lantern in the distance. You drift along these pale rivers of ice, watching, breathing, sinking deeper into rest. Occasionally, you see faint ringlets, thin lines of slightly brighter or darker particles spiraling around the planet. Each ringlet is a delicate thread woven into the larger tapestry of the rings. Their patterns are subtle, their spacing precise, their motion ancient. You glide through them effortlessly. One thread, then another, then another. Each one smoothing your thoughts further, each one calming your breath just a bit more. Above you, the darker outer sky remains still. Below you, Saturn's soft colors swirl in endless patience. Around you, the rings whisper in slow motion, a silent river of drifting light. Every drifting particle invites your mind to drift too. Every gentle pattern invites your breath to soften. Every shimmering thread invites your body into deeper ease. And the deeper you drift, the deeper the rest becomes. The quieter your thoughts grow, the softer your awareness becomes. Your journey through Saturn's frozen halo continues. More light awaits, more shadow, more drifting worlds of ice, more cosmic calm waiting to cradle your mind. You drift gently outward again, gliding away from the faint, mist-like particles of the inner sea ring. The environment brightens gradually, slowly, softly, as if the cosmos is lifting a veil of shadow, one layer at a time. Ahead, the rings widen into smoother, quieter plains. The ice becomes more reflective, the shadows more pronounced. You feel the change immediately, a gentle shift in the visual rhythm, a soft brightening of the frozen sea around you. This region belongs to the outer A ring, where the particles drift with a calm, almost meditative precision. Each piece of ice glows like a tiny moon, small, quiet, drifting in perfect harmony with the millions around it. The sunlight reaches this outer region at a shallow angle. As it touches the icy particles, long beams stretch across the ring plane. The beams illuminate the drifting fragments, like golden rays shimmering on the surface of a frozen ocean. You drift into these beams now. Their glow wraps around you like soft warmth, even though the ice itself is unimaginably cold. The warmth is an illusion of color, a visual softness that calms the mind, slows the breath, and loosens the body into deeper ease. As you glide forward, you notice the particles becoming larger again. Some are as small as grains of sand. Some are as large as small boulders. Their diversity creates texture, a slow rhythm of bright points and dim patches, each one moving with ancient patience. You drift close to one of the larger fragments. Its surface is uneven, tiny ridges etched by countless micro-collisions. Smooth plains where sunlight has gently polished the ice. Dark patches where dust from passing meteoroids has settled. Its rotation is slow. So slow you can count the seconds between each turn. The fragment's face changes gently, shadow, then light, then shadow again. This slow, repeating pattern quiets something deep inside you. Your thoughts fall in line with the rotation. Your breath matches its pace, and you drift with it, suspended in perfect calm. Moving farther outward, the icy fragments become more spaced apart. Gaps appear between them, wide, soft, silent. The openness creates an airy feeling, as if you're floating inside a vast cathedral, made entirely of frozen light. The silence in this region is deeper, more profound. You feel it settling through your muscles, your spine, your chest. You exhale, and the breath seems to dissolve into the quiet around you. Ahead, a faint, shimmering curve catches your eye. A thin, smooth boundary winding across the ring. This is the outer edge of the A ring, a place governed by the delicate gravitational pull of Janus and Epimetheus, two moons that share nearly the same orbit. Janus and Epimetheus perform a celestial dance unlike any other moons in the solar system. Every 4 years, the two moons approach one another closely. When they meet, they exchange positions. The inner moon moves outward. The outer moon moves inward. A quiet, graceful trade, never hurried, never chaotic, just a gentle exchange that has repeated for millions of years. Their gravitational influence maintains the sharp edge of the A-ring. Particles here move with exceptional precision, their orbits finely balanced, their spacing consistent, their motion slow and serene. You drift beside this region. The motion of the particles feels especially soothing. Each fragment glides with purpose. Each orbit holds steady. The entire structure feels like a perfectly tuned instrument, humming a silent, restful note. Farther outward still, the environment grows darker. Not because the light fades, but because the particles grow scarce. You are approaching the Roche division, a wide, subtle gap between the A-ring and the faint G-ring beyond. The Roche division is not empty. Nothing in Saturn's system is truly empty. But it is quiet. Very quiet. Particles drift here only rarely, doing so with delicate slowness. Drifting into this wide space feels like entering a vast, peaceful meadow, stretched beneath a twilight sky. Everything around you softens. The brightness dims. The particles glow more faintly, and your breath grows deeper without any effort at all. In the distance, you begin to see the faintest curve of the G-ring, a thin, ghost-like arc, suspended far from the main rings. It glimmers faintly, so faintly you might miss it if not for the subtle reflection of sunlight scattered by its tiny particles. The G-ring is narrow, delicate, composed mostly of dust-sized grains that drift through space like a barely visible fog. This ring is sustained by a small moon named Aegeon, which orbits quietly within it. Aegeon is tiny, only about half a kilometer across. Yet, it shepherds the dust of the G-ring with persistent, gentle gravity. As you drift toward the faint arc, the dust particles twinkle in single sparks, then fade, then twinkle again. Their presence is subtle enough to resemble drifting embers in the night. The G-ring feels like a dream, soft, temporary. Its particles appear and disappear with the slightest change in angle, as though you are drifting through the quiet edge of a memory, where shapes dissolve into mist and reform again only when you breathe. As you move gently along the curve, the dust becomes denser for a moment. A slight increase in brightness. A ghostly glow. You are passing through the region dominated by Aegean. You do not see the moon directly. It is too small, too dark, too shadowed. But you feel its influence in the order of the dust around you. Particles align ever so slightly. Streams form faint lines. Tiny arcs drift in unison. Gravities whisper, barely felt, yet unmistakably present. Like a hand smoothing a bed of fine sand beneath a gentle tide. Beyond the G-ring, space seems to widen again. But a new glow emerges farther outward, a glow so faint it blends with the darkness. This is the vast, diffuse E-ring, fed continuously by the cryovolcanic plumes of Enceladus. The E-ring stretches farther than any other. It is soft, deep, gentle, a halo of microscopic particles drifting across hundreds of thousands of kilometers. You drift toward it, but slowly, effortlessly, as though Saturn itself is guiding you toward the outer reaches of its peaceful domain. Before reaching the E-ring, you pause within the wide darkness between the major rings. Here, the silence is complete. The stars beyond shine boldly. Saturn's distant glow casts a soft outline across the sky. The space feels endless, calm, unbroken. This is the outer sanctuary of the ring system, a quiet resting place. A place where your body feels heavier with relaxation, but lighter with peace. Your mind floats. Your breath softens. Your thoughts dissolve into slow, drifting echoes. The E-ring waits beyond this calm. A shimmering halo. A field of tiny ice crystals drifting softly through the dark. And you will drift there soon. Through the faint rivers of dust that shine like silver smoke. Through the gentle trails of icy particles that stretch across Saturn's night. Through the deepest quiet the ring system has to offer. But not yet. For now, you remain here in the soft, restful dark, on the threshold of cosmic stillness, breathing in slow, soothing waves. And the deeper you breathe, the deeper the calm becomes. You drift at the threshold of the outer ring system. Behind you, the bright A and B rings glow like wide rivers of frozen starlight. Their shimmering bands stretch inward toward Saturn, curving gently around the golden planet. Ahead of you lies the faintest, widest, and most ethereal of Saturns rings, a halo so delicate it blends almost seamlessly into the darkness of space. This is the E-ring, the most diffuse ring in the solar system. A cloud of microscopic ice grains spread across hundreds of thousands of kilometers. The ring is so faint that under most light it would appear invisible. But here, immersed within it, you can see the tiny crystals glimmer every time a ray of sunlight touches them. As you drift toward the E-ring, the darkness begins to shimmer. Not brightly, not sharply, just softly, as if someone brushed the night with a thin wash of silver. Each tiny grain of ice sparkles once, then vanishes into the dark again. Another spark flickers in the distance, then another. Then clusters appear briefly, like fragile constellations drifting through space. The E-ring is fed continuously by the plumes of Enceladus, a small icy moon whose geysers shoot water vapor into space. The particles freeze almost instantly in the frigid vacuum. Then they drift outward, forming this ghost-like halo around Saturn. You glide into this halo now. The particles are so fine that they seem to float within you rather than around you. Their brightness flickers gently, like distant memories passing through your awareness without urgency, without weight, without any need for interpretation. Your breath grows slower, your chest softer. Every inhale becomes a gentle expansion into the dark. Every exhale dissolves into the shimmer of drifting crystals. Deep within the E-ring, you feel a quiet that is different from any silence you've encountered before. It isn't empty. It isn't vast. It feels personal, close, intimate, like floating inside a whisper of the universe. As you drift along this faint river of ice, Enceladus slowly comes into view again. The moon glows softly, its surface bright white like fresh snow beneath a twilight sky. Fine arcs of material extend outward from its southern pole, the remains of its geysers spreading through space in slow motion. Each plume sends thousands of new ice grains into the E-ring. Water vapor escapes from beneath Enceladus' icy crust, shooting through cracks warmed by tidal forces from Saturn's gravity. The vapor freezes instantly, turning into tiny crystals that drift outward to join the ring. Even from this gentle distance, the process feels calming. Every plume rises slowly, expands silently, dissolves into the ring with the patience of an exhale let out over centuries. The moon's quiet contribution becomes part of the soft halo surrounding you. You drift deeper into the E-ring, where the particles become even more faint. They appear only when the angle is perfect, when the sunlight grazes them with just enough warmth to make them glimmer. The rest of the time, they remain hidden, blending seamlessly with the darkness. This rhythm of appearing and disappearing soothes your mind. Your thoughts mimic the particles. A thought glimmers briefly, then fades. Another thought drifts into view, then dissolves gently into the quiet. Nothing clings. Nothing holds on. Everything simply drifts. Moving farther outward, you slowly leave the densest part of the E-ring. The ice becomes more dispersed, more delicate, almost entirely transparent. It no longer forms a halo, but a faint haze that dances in isolated sparks. Beyond this region lies the G-ring arcs, where dust and grains cluster in thin strands. These arcs are held in place by a tiny moon named Aegaon, the smallest shepherd moon of Saturn. The arcs appear suddenly, thin lines of brightness suspended in the dark. They curve around the planet like faint threads of frost. Each arc moves with subtle elegance, its structure shaped by delicate gravitational forces. You drift beside one of the arcs. Particles move in coordinated motion. The line twists slightly, pulls inward, then relaxes. A slow, breathing motion echoed by your own chest. This region feels calm, quiet, balanced, not as empty as the space between rings, but not as bright as the A or B rings. It is a middle ground, a perfect place for deep rest. As you drift along the arc, you feel your mind sinking deeper into softness. Your body feels heavier in the most pleasant way. Your breath becomes slow, steady, so smooth it almost feels like part of the ring's motion. Eventually, The arc fades into the background. The particles thin again. The stars grow brighter. Saturn's distant glow becomes more diffuse, its rings shrinking into a beautiful, thin silhouette. You drift farther outward, still beyond the G-ring, beyond the E-ring, toward the region where Saturn's gravitational grip begins to loosen. Here, the particles are few and far between. Each one drifts in near empty space, almost completely alone. This outer region feels like the edge of a dream, the place where form and space blur together, where light and shadow blend gently, where time seems to slow to the faintest rhythm. You float there now, suspended between the faint glitter of the outer rings and the infinite depth of the starfield beyond. Behind you, Saturn glows like a sleeping lantern. Its rings curve around it in thin, soft lines. Silver, gold, blue-white, all drifting slowly in a cosmic cradle of silence. Ahead of you, stars scatter across the darkness. Some bright, some faint, some no more than whispers of light, millions of years old. You feel no rush to move forward, no pressure to look back. You are exactly where you need to be, drifting in the softest silence the solar system can offer. Your breath becomes so slow now that it almost matches the orbital period of the faint grains around you. Your thoughts fade into the distance. Your body sinks into stillness. This is the outer sanctuary of Saturn's ring domain. A quiet so deep, it feels like a lullaby, written in starlight and ice. Here, your mind can truly rest. Here, your thoughts dissolve. Here, your entire being softens into peaceful drift. And as you float in this cosmic quiet, the rings behind you glow softly like distant waves on a frozen ocean. You feel yourself becoming part of that stillness, part of that light, part of the gentle motion that wraps around the planet in endless serenity. Your journey through Saturn's rings has carried you from bright, dense bands, drifting halos, from shepherd moons sculpting frozen waves to dust arcs moving like soft breaths, from the golden inner glow to the faint silver at the system's edge. And now, as you drift in the quiet beyond, you feel your awareness folding into rest. Calm, deep, effortless. The frozen halo of Saturn surrounds you with ancient patience. Its particles drift in slow symphonies of light. Its moons whisper through gravity. Its rings glow with the softness of dreams. You breathe in that stillness. You breathe out into the quiet. And slowly, gently, the peaceful vastness of Saturn's realm carries you into deep, calm, restorative sleep. As our quiet journey through Saturn's frozen halo comes to a close, let your breath soften and your body remain gently at rest. You have drifted through rivers of pale light, glided past whispering waves of ice, floated between shepherd moons and shimmering dust, and rested beneath the soft glow of a world wrapped in golden calm. The echoes of Saturn's rings continue to drift around you. Slow, steady, endlessly patient. If sleep has already taken you, let it hold you. If you are just now sinking into rest, allow the last traces of these frozen tides to guide your breath and soften your mind. The universe is vast, quiet, and tonight, it has opened a peaceful sanctuary for you. Thank you for drifting with us through the gentle, echoing ice of Saturn's rings. May your sleep be deep, effortless, restorative. Good night.